Hi everybody, it's Maya here. I'm a brand and show it web designer over at mayapalmerdesigns.com, and today I'm going to show you how to create an automated welcome sequence in Flodesk. So there will be 3 different emails that I create as a part of this welcome sequence today, and we'll get into that further as we go through the tutorial. So let's get started. I'm logged into my Flodesk account, and now I'm going to go to the workflows section. Now I'll click Create New Workflow. Flodesk will give you options for workflows that are already set up that you can go in and customize, but I want to create my own workflow, so I'm going to click Start from Scratch. I'll call this workflow Welcome Sequence and hit Save. Now it says welcome sequence begins when, and you have to add a trigger. The trigger is anything that tells Flodesk an email needs to automatically be sent. So we'll click add trigger. It says choose trigger, begin this workflow when a subscriber is added to segments. Segments are different groups of subscribers within your email list. So for example, if you're a photographer, you might have subscribers segmented into those who need family photography or wedding photography or newborn photos, that sort of thing. Any way that you can separate your audience based on how you're serving them, or in any other way that would be helpful to your business to make sure that those subscribers are getting the right emails that they can relate to. So I'll click that we want the workflow to be triggered when a subscriber is added to a segment, and now we'll choose a segment. I don't have any segments in my Flodesk account right now because it's new, but I'm going to create a segment called Web Design. Most of the people who subscribe to my emails will be looking for Show It Web Design services. That's my main offer, and so I'll create a segment for them. Now it says a subscriber is added to segments web design, and that's the trigger. And now that we have our trigger, it's time to add our first email, so I'll click this plus button. Next, it wants to know, do I want to send an email as the next step, place a time delay, a condition, or an action? I'd like to send the email as soon as someone subscribes, so I'll click email. Now it asks, do I want to duplicate an existing email or create a new one? And I'd like to create a new one. And now I can browse all of the templates available or start from scratch. I really like the style of the Jenna Kutcher templates within Flodesk, so I'll look for one of hers. And I'm going to start with this welcome new subscribers email. So I'll click that. You can preview a design before choosing to customize it, but I've looked at the templates beforehand and I know that this is the one I want to use, so I'll just click customize. Now it's time to add my logo. Now I prepared my email copy beforehand, so I'm going to be copy and pasting my text in. So I'll just go to the Google Doc I prepared, and the first thing I want to say is welcome, I'm so glad you're here. And then to add my own photo, I'll just click this photo box, then click upload image, and I'd like to add my brand colors throughout this template, so instead of this neutral tan, I'll change it to a coral. That's one of my brand colors. So to do that, I'll click on this block here, click block, and then I'll leave the first background as it is, just transparent, and then for the second background, I'm going to add in the hex code for my coral. And actually, I'll just go ahead and add in all of my brand colors so that you can see how to do that. When you first start a Flodesk account, you'll see a add your brand colors here option once you open the color palette, and then it'll give you a blank slate to add in all of your brand colors. And you're going to want to know your hex codes. And now that I've added in all of my brand colors, I'm going to close out of this and keep customizing. So I made this block the darkest coral in my color palette, but I'd like to see how the lighter coral looks with this photo. And I think I like that better, so I'll leave that like it is. And then I want to change the color of this text in the photo caption. So I'm going to click on the text box, and then under font color, I'll choose this navy that's in my brand colors. And I think I'll make this text box have navy text as well. And now I'm just going to copy and paste in my text for the body of the email. And I'm going to change the color of my links here. Instead of them being this default gray, I'd like for them to be coral. And I automatically have links because I added them in the Google Doc before pasting the text. But if you don't know how to add a link, you just highlight the text where you want the link to be added, and then click this link button and paste in your URL. Or you can click on an entire box, say a picture or something, and they'll have this link option over on the sidebar. Okay. And now a few things about the body of the email that I chose that might be important to you as you're building your emails. I have it so there's a code to automatically insert the subscriber's first name. For example, if it was going to someone named Jackie, it would say, "Jackie, thank you so much for signing up," and it would automatically change each time with the person's name. And if they didn't provide a name, or if it can't find it for some reason, it would default and say, "Friend, thank you so much for signing up." So that's just a nice way to add a personal touch, because when you're writing an email, depending on your business, you're probably talking more one-on-one, as if talking to a friend instead of talking to the masses, because one person is opening your email. So it's nice if you can have that personal connection and address someone by name. And then included in this email is what I do. So it says that they're joining me on this journey to better brand and web design, and that I'll be sharing my knowledge and keeping in touch. And then regarding the frequency of how often they can expect to receive an email from me, it says only when I have something important to share, that I won't spam them, and a few of the ways I serve my audience. So it talks about me sharing design tips like I'm doing right now in this video, talking about marketing strategy, helping small business owners feel encouraged and confident in their brand. And then it closes with an invitation for them to introduce themselves, because again, you want your email subscribers to start engaging with you, and this is a great way to do that. And so it says, have a question, just want to say hi, reply to this email and introduce yourself. And then it also has ways that they can connect with me further outside of emails. And so there's a link to my Instagram and a link to this YouTube channel, My Teaches Design. And then it says, so excited to stay in touch. And then of course it has Jenna Kutcher's name because this was her email template, but I'm going to change it to my name. And I like this font, so I'll leave it how it is. If you did want to change a font, you would just click, and then it gives you several options for different fonts that you can scroll through. And then it has an area to connect my Instagram, so that my Instagram feed preview will automatically generate. And to do that, I'll just click the box and click Manage Linked Accounts, Connect Instagram. I was already logged in, so it automatically generated, and you'll see it pulls up my 3 latest Instagram post pictures. Underneath that, it has links to more social networks, and you can change the style of your icons, but I like those how they are. And I am going to change the color to a nice light gray, maybe something like that. and then there's an area to add the links to all of your social networks. So I'll go ahead and do that for my business really quickly. And one nice thing about updating these links to your social accounts is that once you do it in one email, Flodesk will save it so that it's available automatically in any other email you create. And now that I've gotten all of my social links added, there's a space for my brand address. There's a compliancy rule where you always have to have an address at the bottom of your emails. See, when you click on this box and then click address, it'll say, let's get your address on file. You are required by law to include your current address in the footer of all promotional emails. So then I'll click manage my address. And now I've added my P.O. Box information, so that's taken care of. And again, any information like social media links or addresses that you enter in one email will automatically save for future emails that you create in Flodesk, so that's why it says, now we've got your address on file. And then there's automatically an area down here where people can click to unsubscribe. You're also required to include that. I'm happy with the way this email looks, so I'll click finish. And now it's time to move on to the next. So I'll click this plus button underneath my first email. Well, before I do that, I'd like to click on this email, and on the sidebar, scroll down. Here you'll have an option to change your subject line. It puts something in here by default, but you can change it. I like to add emojis to my email subject lines, but I feel like emojis help them stand out in the inbox just by having that pop of color. And so now I'm ready to click this plus button, and this time I'll add a time delay. And I'd like to wait 2 days before I send the next email, so I'll type that in. And now I'll click the plus button again, and I'll click to add a new email. Now let's click create new email, and I'm going to go back to Jenna Kutcher's templates. The second email that I'll be sending in this welcome sequence are resources for my new subscribers to check out, and I'd like to use this share your news template. So now that I've gotten my resources email template customized how I like it, with all my links and photos added, let's talk about what this resources email includes and how you can apply it to your business. So the resources email is the second email in this email sequence. Once you've reached out and said hi and told them how to connect with you, it's a good idea to give your audience some valuable content that will help them in a way that's just serving them, not necessarily asking for anything in return, like trying to sell your product or service, but just providing value and show that you're a trusted resource to serve them. So here in my email, I have a link to a blog article that's in the web design category. Then the next, I have one of my YouTube tutorials that's helpful for small business owners when it comes to social media management. It doesn't have anything to do with the web design offer, but it's a way that I can use my skills to help serve my audience. And so there's a link to that tutorial on using Planoly for Instagram. And then there's a link to my currently most popular YouTube tutorial on how to create a social media content calendar in Trello. And then lastly, another link to a blog post on why Showit and Shopify are two of the best website platforms. So again, we're circling back around to the industry that I'm in and talking about web design. And then underneath that, I just have a statement about how I want to help them and encourage them in their business. And then I challenge them to pick one resource above, dive in, and then choose an action step based on what they learned and take it today. So however you want to serve and help your audience, reinforce that throughout your emails and just show them that you care in an authentic way. And you could even put down here reply and tell me what action step you're going to take today, just as in a way to encourage your audience in emails to engage with you. And before we move on to the third and final email in the sequence, I did want to stop and mention that I got the ideas for what to include in my welcome sequence from Elizabeth McCravey. She's another really awesome Show It web designer. I listen to her podcast on the regular, and she has a great episode about creating a welcome sequence and deciding on the content to include in your emails. But now let's click finish for the second email. And then I'll click to add another time delay. I want to wait 2 more days. And now we'll add our third and final email. And now would be a good time to mention our third and final email in our welcome sequence is going to let new subscribers know how they can work with our businesses for a paid offer. And so you started by introducing yourself and letting them know how they can connect with you in the first email. The second email shares further resources to help them. And then thirdly, you're going to close it out by just being super clear about your offer and straightforward in a way that they can work with you if they're ready to do that. It's up to you if your welcome sequence includes 2, 3, 4 emails, and Elizabeth talked about that a little bit in her podcast episode. I decided to kind of sandwich mine into 3 emails, but you can kind of play around with this formula and the structure to find a way that works for you. And so now I'm going to get my offer email ready, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. Okay, so now let's talk about this third and final email in our welcome sequence, the offer email. I kept this email pretty short and sweet, but it makes it clear what services I offer my clients and how someone on my email list can make that transition to go from subscriber to client. And so, when you open the email, it says ready for a professional brand and site that will help you grow your business. And I've included a picture of myself because even when you're an online business owner like I am, people still want to see your face, and so I'm trying to be better about that. And I feel like putting my picture in the email with my offer instead of just having a picture of my websites will help people connect with me on a more personal level. So that's something to think about in your business as well. And then it says custom brand and show it web design. Again, just being very clear what I offer. So I kept it short and sweet. And then I have the button with the call to action below that says tell me more, where they can learn more about my services. And one thing that this template included was an area underneath your initial email to include client testimonials. And I think this is a really great thing to include, especially when you're trying to tell someone about your offer. So I've included 2 client testimonials. And that's pretty much the emails. It's very short and sweet. So I hope that this tutorial has helped you understand how you can create a welcome sequence in Flodesk. And if you've never used Flodesk before, I hope you see how easy it is to just kind of click around and edit and design emails in Flodesk. Especially if you're using a template like I did today, you can really just make simple changes and have it be on brand and fitting what you need in really less than an hour. So now I'm going to click finish since we're done with our last email. And let's review. So in my welcome sequence, it's triggered when a subscriber is added to the web design segment. They'll automatically get their first welcome email because I didn't add a time delay beforehand. If you wanted to go in and add something in between an email, you could hover at this line in between and click the plus button. And then in 2 days, they'll receive the next email, resources, which I didn't change the subject line for yet, so let's go back and change that. and then Flodesk will wait another 2 days, and then lastly they'll send a final email with the offer. And one neat thing about workflows is you can always go back and pause them and edit them. So if you feel like as your business grows you want to change something, you can always go back in and change things or update them, say if you have new resources you want to share. But for now I'm going to publish this welcome sequence. And so it says, let's publish your workflow. Publish now. And now my welcome sequence is published under workflows, so when a new subscriber comes to my email list, they'll automatically begin receiving these emails, as long as they're in that web design segment. But again, I just hope that this tutorial was helpful to you, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more design and business tutorials in the future, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.